Y'all, Pancakes here, and joining me tonight on the stack, I have the frat daddy, Bryce Cannon, part of Exotic Youth with Zach Mosley. You may have seen him on AEW Dark, Talkin' Shopomania, in Southern States Professional Wrestling, Southern Honor Wrestling, and on favorite near and dear to the hearts of the Bald Monkeys, Uncharted Territory, Southeast First Edition on IWTV, where we have a lovely banner. Please welcome Bryce Cannon.
Thanks for having me. I'm really excited. I've listened to a lot of your podcasts, so I'm excited to be on here.
Oh, bless. Thank you. I when we started talking, I was like, I know I've seen this guy before, and I couldn't like place where. And then I was like, kind of scrolling through your Twitter, and I was like, oh, I watched every episode of Uncharted Territory, as I would clearly. Right. So I was like, okay, yeah, now I know I've seen him before. So that made me.
A lot of people see my hair and they're like, I know this guy from somewhere, and they either think it's wrestling or the name just escaped me, and I was about to say it. He's like at one of the old school. He's not even a wrestler. It'll come to me whenever we talk about something else. But Road Dogg actually called me at one time, and he couldn't think of the name on the spot either. It was like after my match, he goes, I'm sitting here trying to call you this guy's name, and I could not remember for the life of me. So
is it the guy on your Twitter with the picture?
That's going
Ed
around.
Grimley.
Ed Grimsley. Yes. Okay. That's it. I knew it was something like super simple, and I'm like, why is it escaping me now when I'm put on the spot? But yeah, so people think those two things, either A, professional wrestler, or B, Ed Grimsley. So
by character by Martin Short. Do go look it up. It is kind of funny. There was like an Ed Grimley cartoon I remember when I was a kid, but also I think when he was doing a bunch of SNL like in the 80s, I think it was part of that too. Right. I'm old, so
yeah. See, I had to do my research and look it up whenever people started calling me Ed Grimsley, and then I saw the picture like going around on Twitter right now, and I was like, I mean, I get the resemblance, but no, not at all. I get Ed Grimsley and Something About Mary all the time, and I'm just like really, like I don't see the resemblance.
I feel like you could beat up Ed Grimsley if that helps.
Yeah, he's almost like a Pee Wee Herman wannabe, like and one of my favorite wrestlers, The Miz. I mean, he had his running with Pee Wee Herman, so I mean, I guess it's a thing.
I can see the parallels.
No.
So what was a young Bryce like? What were you like as a child?
I was forced to grow up very early, to be honest. Some things happened, but during that is really where wrestling came into my life. So I was always optimistic, always happy-go-lucky, even though things, weren't the smoothest. I actually lost my grandmother on Christmas morning when I was 8 years old. So things got a little, and she was like my best friend. And so like in our living room, we had a coffee table, and I would always have like the WWE ring and entranceway and all the action figures. I had like, I know some states have trash can sized recycling bins, but we had just like the tub pretty much. And so I had one of those tubs like just full of action figures. And so I just remember she would just watch me all the time play with those action figures. She'd always give me money to go to Toys R Us to get an action figure like that. So when she passed, I took it pretty hard. Mainly, she was my best friend, but then also, Christmas is like a odd time, but oddly enough, she hated Christmas. She thought it was overrated. So we laugh about that, but yeah, I was just kind of forced to grow up a little bit, but through that hard time is like when wrestling like really like helped me get through a lot of the stuff. But I was always one to get in trouble. My mom actually bought me a shirt that said, I don't look for trouble, trouble finds me. And that was like the motto I went through my whole life pretty much. But yeah, no, I had an awesome childhood. I will say that. I grew up with a brother, a full-blooded brother, a half brother, and then 4 step siblings. So big household. We always, go out, wrestle on the trampoline, so very active, very troublemaking, very spontaneous childhood of mine. I will say that.
Nice. So, ultimately, what made you decide to pursue going into wrestling, and then what were some of the best things you learned while training?
Yeah, so it's kind of odd. I mean, you hear it all the time. You grow up wanting to be a wrestler. I grew up that way, but I was also very, like I said, I was optimistic and very realistic with my thoughts growing up, and I was like, that's never going to happen for me. There, number one, I really didn't know about the indie scene growing up, as most children don't. Because whenever your parents or grandparents take you to these shows, you think, oh, these guys are, big leagues, like whenever you get taken to a wrestling show. And so, my granddad, he would always take me to the indie shows closer to where we lived in Fort Valley, Georgia, which oddly enough is where I trained. And that was the first promotion that I worked for, AWN, All Star Wrestling Network. It's closed down now, but they were out of Fort Valley, Georgia. And a lot of the main guys today, actually, I mean, used to run in Fort Valley as well. Logan, or Cruel as some would know, Logan Creed, Michael Stevens, yeah, a lot of them. Fry Daddy, he's been on AW Dark a few times. But back, like, just growing up, like I said, I just remember thinking, like, I'll never be this. It would be cool, but it's almost like wanting to be like Superman or something like that. It's not going to happen. It'd be cool. So fast forward a couple years, AWN shut down and they reopened. And I just graduated high school, and me and one of my buddies that I worked with, I talked him into going. I was like, hey, my granddad used to take me to this show. Like, it's probably not going to be the biggest thing in the world. It's probably going to be dumb, honestly, but let's go check it out. Hadn't been to an indie show since I was a little kid. So I was like, I'm going to think this is dumb seeing it now. And as we're watching through the show, I'm heckling the guys. I'm like, just having fun, being a mark or whatever. And then a guy comes out and I'm like, I tapped my buddy. I said, I went to school with him. And so after the show, or I think it was the next day, I texted him. The show was on a Friday. So I texted him that Saturday and said, hey, man, like, I've always had an interest in pro wrestling, but never really knew how to get into it, or never thought about really getting into it. And he was like, yeah, man, meet me there on Sunday if you want. And I was like, okay, that's kind of sketchy, but the more you learn about wrestling, the more sketchy, the realistic it is in wrestling. So, but so me and my dad and a couple of my friends, we ran a donut 5K that Sunday morning. And a donut 5K is halfway through, they give you 6 Krispy Kreme donuts, and then you run the other half while finishing the donuts. Me, I just gave them to my dad because I'm not a really big sweet eater anyways. But my dad finished 12 donuts the second half of the race. And then I told him, I was like, well, hey, I gotta bounce. I gotta go try this wrestling thing. I gotta go see what this is about. So my boss at the time, I worked at a tire shop. My boss at the time, he was also like my best friend. It's kind of weird, but because he's like 40 and I was like 18. But that was just the crowd I hung around. And so he was like, you know what? And these were actually his words. He told me later on, at least, I really went to watch you fail. I went to watch you make a fool of yourself. So it was pretty encouraging, like, because he's seen where I am now. And so, yeah, I went, took my first bump, and I mean, you hear it all the time. I fell in love with it. But then the guy was like, hey, all right, cool. Yeah, we learned how to do the body slam. We learned how to take a back bump. Now I'm gonna teach you how to take a chair shot. And I said, whoa. I was like, I don't know a lot about this sport, but I'm pretty sure that's not the next step.
It seems like that escalated quickly.
Very, very. And I was just like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Like I was expecting like a 5-minute match or something before getting hit with a chair, but maybe I'm wrong. So I took the chair shot like an idiot, and I was like, wow, okay, this stings. All right. If this is going to be what wrestling is, then wow, this sucks. But so they had another show about 2 weeks later, and I went and I just kind of went up to the concession stand and said, hey, like, is there anyone back there that like trains professionally, like that, has some credibility behind them to where I can actually do this? Because I don't think I was being trained correctly. And so they gave me the information to Michael Stevens, marvelous Michael Stevens, who was the head trainer for AWN versus just showing up with someone who had keys. So, but then Marv, he told me, hey, meet us up here on Sunday. It was a different Sunday, but he actually made me pay him money. So that's when I knew, okay, maybe this guy's a little bit more legit. And so, yeah, it was me and 4 other guys, and only 2 of us are still wrestling, well, including Marv, but yeah, only 2 of the trainees are still going. So that's kind of how I got into it.
I don't know. From what I have heard over the years, from the people that I've spoken with, from the people that I know, just because you give somebody money does not make them a credible trainer.
Well, that's very true. Okay, I will say that's very true. Marv, he was great. Marv trained me phenomenally. Like I give all the credit to training me. Yeah, that's just my mindset back then. I was like, okay, I'm paying this guy money. Like here, here we go. We're about to learn some stuff. Like,
so what is one of the things that you learned while training that like still like you take with you to this day, like when you go out for matches or wrestling or whatever?
There's actually a few things. The first thing that I definitely learned was respect. You know, respect the sport first off. There's a lot of guys who paved the way for us, and whether it's wiping your feet on the ring, whether it's in the back shaking hands, whether it's saying hey, like just be respectful, because respect will take you a long way in this business. Because there's a lot of guys that if you're found to be egotistical or anything like that, you're frowned upon. So definitely respect was instilled in us. And then just taking care of each other, whether it's in the match, like looking for little keys and stuff like that to say someone's hurt or something like that, like knowing how to take care of my opponent, to make sure that they get home to their families just like I want to get home to mine at the end of the day. A lot of us, we have regular jobs. This is our stepping stones until hopefully a contract is signed or something like that. So we all want to make sure that we get home safe and the way that we left. But the other like big thing is treat every match like it's your last, whether it's you're curtain jerking and have 5 minutes just to get the crowd on their feet, or you're main eventing for 45-30 minutes in front of 10 people. That could be your last match. And how do you want to remember that? And Marv actually made us, like, even during training matches, pretend there's a crowd here. He said, if I'm the only fan in this building right now, I want to feel something. I want to feel emotion. So that's kind of one thing that I learned in training. But one thing that I've kind of learned, just kind of myself, and this is just character work, honestly, is based off of personal feelings of how I remember going to the shows when I was a kid. Like, in that heel would, like, even though I didn't know he was a heel or a bad guy, he would look at me and tell me to shut up and sit down. And I just remember how that made me feel, like, oh my God, this dude's fixing to come out of the ring and kill me. Like, and then, like, I just remember, like, whether it was a face, like in a submission or a headlock or something like that, just like reaching out to me or something like that, making me feel something. That's one of the biggest takeaways. Like, if I can make a kid or somebody forget what's going on in the real world for my 7 to 8 minutes I'm out there, and allow them to feel an emotion and feel, important, that, oh my God, I'm reaching out to you for this help. Like, I've done my job. And that's something that I've learned that is very rewarding.
Nice. Yeah. Especially, to acknowledge, especially little kids love that kind of stuff. Like
Right.
even if you are telling them to shut up and sit down, like,
Right.
and I
And
think just
my
being acknowledged.
right. And so, like, my biggest thing is it's very old school and very like cheap heatish, I'll say. But like when I'm walking out and that kid is like going for the high five, typically exotic youth, we're the heels in the situation. So I'll just take my paddle and raise it and do like that. Them kids, woo, they freeze up and everything. And in the back of my head, I'm laughing hysterically, but like on the outside, I'm like, yeah, I got you. Like, I made you feel something. I did my job today.
So, who has had the most influence on you both in and out of the ring? And that can be two different people.
Um, Inside, there's actually a lot of people. I would actually say Zach, um, and Peps. They've both taught me a lot. Um, Not only like about wrestling, but just about myself in general. Because it's easy to get down on yourself in this business, and just kind of think like, man, like, is anything ever going to happen with this? And so when we get in that, it's easier, I would say, with a 3-man group, because you're able to talk to each other and stuff like that. But those two, um, any time we're out there, we learn something new about each other. Whether it's, okay, I can actually go a little faster in the match than I thought I could, or I can, hang with these guys or whatever. And Zach and I feed so well off of each other. It's like, oh man, like, did you see what we did out there? Like, that was kind of cool. Like, we didn't even mean to do this. Like, there was one time where I took my one of my polos off and distracted the ref, and Zach wasn't even paying attention. And I just tossed my shirt, and he reached behind and caught the shirt behind his back, and he was just like brushing his hands back, but he just caught the shirt, and he was like, oh, bam, went ahead and like started choking the guy. And we were just like, you know, that, like, there's a bond there. And when there's a bond there, it just makes it even that much more worth doing what we're doing. So I would say, like, I've taken the most from Zach, whenever it comes to inside of the ring. Now, outside of the ring, I would definitely say my dad, just because he's very supportive of what I do, and he's always been there for me and my brother. Um, and I'm one of those people. I'll get emotional if I do too many comments, but yeah, I would say my dad most definitely.
Aww.
Yeah, I can't do the compliment thing.
No. Is that why you're like a bad guy?
Yeah,
Like,
probably. Yeah, I would probably say that. Yeah. Like, my girlfriend, she'll write me a birthday card. Now, like, I say, I can't read it. I can't do it.
oh, well, I mean, it's okay to cry. You can cry here if you want to. I'm not
Oh
going to
no, I
stop
can't do
you.
that. That'll ruin my image. I'll be on
I,
Twitter everywhere if that's the case.
I would clip it out. I would just put Bryce Cannon cries, and it would just be
Yeah,
you crying on a loop.
right, exactly. I would say, okay, cool. She said she'd cut it, and then wait, that's not the cut I thought.
No, I'm kidding.
Right.
So what would you say has been your greatest achievement in wrestling so far? And that can be whatever greatest achievement means to you. If it's like title, or if it was like a specific match or a show that you appeared on, whatever you would consider your greatest achievement.
Um, there's actually quite a few, just because I never thought I would make it this far. I mean, I know I really haven't gotten anywhere, but I mean, I'm just being realistic. Like, I haven't really made a name as big as some others, but for what I have done, AEW was a big one for me, just because I never thought that I would be able to perform, in front of 11,000 people. So, because we were like semi-main of dark, so the arena was practically full because it was a sold out show. And that was in Savannah, which makes it even more cool because like walking out there were fans from that show that I wrestled at in Savannah. And just hearing like when you, even though we didn't get an entrance, they took us down the back side of the entranceway. But when people like saw me, they were like, I heard somebody go, "Oh shit, it's Bryce Cannon." And Rick Knox looked at me and goes, "Are you known around here?" I said, "I am today." And he laughed. And so that was just a really cool feeling. That would be like my greatest achievement so far personally. But then also I would say Georgia, they do awards every year. And there's a lot of rumors and stuff that go on with them and politics. But I was actually nominated for Best Male Performer of 2021. And I had no idea. Like when I submitted like my entry, I didn't even put my name down on any of the awards. I was like, it is what it is. Like, I'm sure Exotic Youth will win Tag Team of the Year, I'm sure, but I wasn't expecting like a singles award. And then, so like, I was just listening to Larry Goodman and Stephen Platinum listing off the nominees for the year. And then they're like, Best Male Performer, Ashton Starr, Bryce Cannon. And I was like, what? Like, I think they read that wrong. And then I ended up winning it. So and I didn't politic it, because I was one of those, I was just like, you know what, yeah, it would be cool on the resume, but it's like it's not going to be career changing or anything like that. But then I ended up winning it, and that was a complete shock. So that would be the other top moment for me.
Nice. So on the flip side of that, what has been the greatest obstacle that you've overcome in wrestling?
Ooh, now that's a good one because there's several.
Ooh, whatever you feel like sharing.
Yeah, I would say definitely COVID. COVID was, I mean, a big one for anybody outside of wrestling. In real life, it was an obstacle. In wrestling, it was an obstacle because there's no shows. But it was, honestly, COVID was also one of those things that I believed helped me because I tried to stay on social media as much as possible. I've yet to figure out Twitter, so that's why you guys probably don't see me on Twitter a lot, but I've been trying here lately. But Facebook, I was just on it constantly trying to come up with content. But my biggest obstacle would happen actually right before COVID. I dislocated my patella. Luckily, I didn't have to have surgery, but I did 3 months of rehab on it, and I came back in January, and then COVID hit in like February, March. So it was kind of like a double whammy. So those were definitely my biggest obstacles.
The only thing I can tell you about Twitter is just to tweet a lot.
Yeah.
Just a lot.
My
like
problem is I forget. Like I just forget.
like I tweet the absolutely most like dumb random shit all the time.
Yeah.
I tweeted it, I was doing laundry.
Yeah, but then I'm also that type. It's like in the back of my head, like, man, nobody reacted to that. Like, man, nobody cares. I did laundry today. Like,
nobody reacts to that stuff until you tweet a lot and you have a lot of followers, and then you do. Like, I got like likes and comments on it. Like, someone just told me this is boring. I was like,
thanks.
Well,
thanks for the engagement.
Like my life isn't all like yes, I like going to wrestling shows. I go to a lot of wrestling shows. I eat a lot of junk food, and I post a lot of pictures of my cat. But like sometimes I just have to do laundry. Like,
yeah. Like the one thing about Twitter that I really like is those spaces, which is how this came about. So
yeah.
I have enjoyed that. That was pretty cool. So, and I've gained a few followers and stuff like that from those spaces. So yeah, I'm gonna just try to join as many of those as possible and see see what happens.
The spaces are fun. So we talked before all of this that you have a dog.
I do.
Post pictures of your dog.
Yeah.
Well, people love
those are
pets.
from my archive. No, yeah, I definitely will. The thing is I just don't want to steal Zicky's gimmick with Gordo, but he is slowed down on the Gordo pictures. So I was like, you know what? Like, Legend might have to make an appearance on the Twitter.
There's a lot of wrestlers with dogs,
Mm-hmm.
and Zicky will be fine. He's outlandish. He's got this.
Well, he's got heat with everybody right now. So
Yeah.
I guess I'll join the club just because I post my Frenchie as well. So
Yeah. Heck yeah. Get heat with Zicky Dice. I'm sure that's like a hashtag, right? Get heat with Zicky Dice.
Yeah, I think that's like his new thing is like, we got heat. Like he'll just go up to anybody now. Like he's gone up to like some just random guy. I mean, you could tell he was on something, but he was like, hey man, we got heat. And this dude just goes off about something random. And Ziggy's like, oh, all right. So we got heat, right? And the dude's like, heat? Huh. All right. Yeah. It was pretty funny to me, but I'm one of those people, I find Napoleon Dynamite funny. So dry humor is like the best for me.
That's fine. I think everything is funny. Sometimes to my detriment. So
Yeah, I can be that way too. Like I'm the type, like I'm that friend you don't tell anything serious to because I don't know how to handle the situation. I'm like, okay. And I just laugh in your face. And I'm like, I don't mean to, but
haha.
yeah, feel better, I guess.
Sorry about your dad. No.
Right, exactly. I've had that happen where they're like, yeah, my grandma passed away, and I'm like, sorry. I don't know what to say. Like, don't
I'm
come
ill-equipped to handle these
right,
things.
don't come at me with that.
So if you had an action figure of yourself and it was one of the action figures that could talk, what would you want it to say and what accessories would it come with?
So I actually have 2 fan-made action figures. Wow. No, but if it was made by like Mattel or someone like that, it would definitely come with a paddle and a little hard seltzer can. I don't know if they'd be able to put logos or anything on it, but definitely that. Sunglasses and a bedazzled Letterman's jacket like I come out with. And then it would just probably say like, you're a chooch or something like that, like I say.
Would you have like special limited edition, like with like Chase, like with different polos?
Oh yeah, of course, because I have at least 20 different polos. And the funny thing is, I will give you a little exclusive here. I'm
Yes.
colorblind. So picking out polos to match gear is the hardest thing for me. But my girlfriend helps me out. So
Well, thank goodness she's out here doing the Lord's work,
she is
coordinating
doing the
your
Lord's work.
polos.
Right. Good luck with the next set of exotic youth gear, though. That one's to be seen. I don't know what I'm going to do with those. So we'll have to see.
I'm excited now.
Oh, yeah. No, we're excited about them. We should be getting them closer to the new year, but everything's paid for and everything. We're just waiting to receive them.
Nice. Exciting.
But
We'll
yeah,
have
no,
to.
I would love an action figure. Like that would be that and on a video game.
I think that you would do well in both of those situations because you have like a really distinct look about you, like with the hair.
Yeah. I
And
actually
like,
listened to like Matt Cardona and Brian Myers, wrestling figure pod, and they talk about being toyetic and everything like that. And I'm like, if this hair ain't toyetic, then I don't know what is. And I will say I would probably do an attachable head for me with my hair like messed up, because that is like the key thing that people want to see whenever they wrestle me or whatever. So I'm sure if they bought a Bryce Cannon action figure, I would get beat up all the time in the action figure world. So I would give them a messed up hairdo.
would you have like molded plastic hair, or would you have more like Barbie hair where it's like moldable,
Ooh.
where they could brush it?
No, I would not let them brush my hair. I would like to control my hair, so I'll stick with the hard plastic. Because if you touch it, it pretty much feels like hard plastic. So
CYH, control your hair.
right, control it. You're on to
control
something. You're on
control
to
your control your heritage.
Okay, that's a new shirt coming soon to Pro Wrestling Tees. Control your hair to. I've been trying to think of like hair puns like that because Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder back in the day, he had the take care and spike your hair gimmick. So I'm like, I need to come up with something like that. Like that's awesome. Control. I'm writing that down, and so I'll send you some of the proceeds.
Just put your little credit about Pancakes on there. That's all I
Right.
ask.
I'll have a pancake on like the back of the neck or something.
That would be hella cute.
Control your hair. It's written down.
Like, you're serious about this. I love that.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I don't even know if control your narrative is still like like what's going on with them. So I know they're still doing some shows and stuff, but I don't think they're.
I mean, a lot of those people aren't available to do that anymore.
Not all the named ones. Like I wrestle at a show, District Championship Wrestling here in Atlanta, and I know CYN is about to do a little angle with like the Factory and Billy Gunn's thrown in there somehow. So at their December show, December 18th, it's QT and Billy Gunn versus EC3 and Fodder. So that'll be cool.
That'll be fun. You can
Yes,
control your narrative.
Right. If I can figure out or find a graphic designer to make that ASAP, I'll have that on a shirt. Be like, hey, do you approve EC3?
I love that. If that ever comes to like if you really make that like a thing, I will absolutely buy one 1,000%.
Oh no, I am definitely gonna do it. If I can find somebody to like tweak their logo just a little bit to where I don't get copyrighted, if their thing is copyrighted, I will do it.
You could probably do it under parody.
Yeah.
You do with other logos.
That's true.
But I don't know. Don't take my advice. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just spitballing here.
I'm weird about that stuff. I'm like, look, if I get a cease and desist, like, sorry, you're not getting much from me. Here's a paddle.
So I've been working with my local for like 10 years. All my friends are wrestlers at this point in my life. I have no other social circle. So I have adopted some of these. So I'm going to ask you, what is the wrestling word that you use most outside of wrestling?
That's a good one. I use a lot of them. I'll ask you this. What is the one you use?
For me, it's probably popped or like work and shoot.
I think that's it for me. The work and shoot one. That's the one that pops in my head the most. Either that or like a mark, like calling someone a mark, even if it's not like in the context of wrestling. Yeah, that would probably be it for me. A work or shoot.
The other one that I hear a lot from people is gimmick. Everything's gimmick.
I didn't really like that one just because some people like overuse that term, and it's like
wrestlers. It's wrestlers that overuse
like yeah, but like some guys talk about everything. They're like, yeah, I'm gonna drink this gimmick right here. Give me a second. Hold on. I'm like, it's water, dude. Just say water. Like, because if you say grab me that gimmick over there, I'm not gonna know what item you want me to grab.
Could be anything.
Right, exactly. And so I remember when I first started, actually, it took me the longest time to figure out what a gimmick was. And I was like, I mean, I've heard it in character context, but you're talking about a weapon now. Like, what? Like, because I remember the dude, he was calling us, I don't even know who it was, but I remember calling a match with a guy. It was like one of my first matches I ever had. And he goes, yeah, I'm gonna just grab your head and throw it in the gimmick right there, and then we'll just move over here. And I was like, he's gonna throw my head into what? And he was talking about the turnbuckle, like the pad. And I was like, I'm sitting there thinking I'm about to come out of this match looking like I just wrestled Nick Gage or something. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like Yeah, when he said that, yeah, I'm gonna take your head and throw you in the gimmick there. I was like, oh my God. Like, all right, well, we'll see how this one goes. But
We'll find out what that is as it occurs.
right, right. But yeah, no, I would probably say work or shoot or mark.
I mean, you can be a mark for anything.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, like I'll just tell my girlfriend, yeah, yeah, I'm marked out for that song or something like that. And she just looks at me like, what? Like, what? Like,
Who's Mark?
yeah, yeah. Who's this Mark guy you keep talking about? But no, she's caught on to a lot of the lingo. It's pretty funny. Like, even though it's not like wrestling lingo, me and her, like, we'll walk around our apartment and do like the Chad Gable shoosh. We'll walk around the apartment doing that all day. And our dog's just like, all right, bro, like y'all chill. Like, yeah. So it's not really wrestling lingo, but we do the shoosh a lot.
That's fine. Sometimes like those words and phrases and mannerisms just
Right.
infiltrate
Oh yeah,
into your
yeah.
everyday speech.
Oh yeah. No, she's definitely learned how to do a couple like wrestling moves and stuff like that. Cause I'll just go and grab her wrist and do something. She's like, what are you doing to me?
As long as she sells for you.
She doesn't.
She no sells you?
She knows sells it because she's trying to figure out how to do it to me. So then I have to oversell it.
That's another word I use a lot is no sell. Like, oh man, they no sold me on that.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. I will say that. Yeah, now that you bring all this up, it's like now I'm thinking, yeah, I actually say that a lot too. So, but
It's like,
yeah,
yeah, I tried to ask them a question, but they just no sold me. Like,
right. And I think it's one of those things like it's become such a part of my vocabulary. I don't even realize like I'm actually saying this stuff. So there's a lot more that I'm missing. So
I realized it. The local that I work with did a show. We were all hanging out after the show, and I was like, I just like took a minute and like stepped out of like the circle of all of us talking and was like, we make no fucking sense.
no, at all, at all, at all. My girlfriend, she's heard me like call matches and stuff like that. She's like, I'm gonna just watch it and see what happens out there. But yeah.
So part of wrestling is traveling. Lots of travel involved in wrestling. What do you listen to when you're traveling? Either music or podcasts or both?
Yeah, I tried to do a little bit of both. It kind of depends on what time I'm driving, honestly. Like if it's late night, I've got to have music. Um, like if it's about 10 o'clock, I'm coming back from a show, which is never, because shows are usually going on. Um, I typically try to do a podcast, but if I'm traveling at like 1, 2 in the morning, I've got rock on. I'm not a big rock fan, but it just so much is going on in that song that I'm like awake. Um, but like I do listen to a lot of podcasts. I have the Sirius XM app, so I'll listen to Busted Open, Talk is Jericho. Um, there's a couple like smaller podcasts with Scott Armstrong, the Armstrong Avenue podcast. They're kind of newer. And then here, Oh, You Didn't Know by Road Dog. That one's pretty interesting too. I've actually had the pleasure of befriending Scott Armstrong. So it's super cool to kind of hear his take on some things and like just the history of his family and everything that you really don't hear a lot about with the Armstrong family. But they talk about like a lot of really cool, like old school stuff, which is what I'm into. So I find those pretty interesting.
So, what would you say would be the most surprising song like that you was like on your playlist, or if it like comes on when you're listening to stuff, you're like, oh, I'll turn it up and jam. Like, what would be the one where like, oh, that?
Let's see. I don't. To me it's normal. But let's.
You can call it a guilty pleasure if you want to.
Yeah,
I wouldn't because I'm not ashamed of anything that I listen to, and I listen to some weird stuff. So,
right, me either. Like that's me. Like I listen to everything. Let's see here. Like I like listening. I found something recently. It's called Postmodern Jukebox.
Yeah.
And I have like it's kind of like jazz in a way, but I absolutely love like Postmodern Jukebox just because they take any song, especially Puddles the Clown. I like him. Um, but yeah, I think let's see.
I went through a postmodern jukebox phase at one point.
Yeah, I feel like I don't really have anything that's like, oh, he listens to that. But yeah, like stuff like that, like oh well, here's a five for fighting Superman. I do like that one. That one I'm like, oh yeah, like turn it up. That is a good one right there. So I'd probably say
Interesting.
that one. Yeah, I'm like looking at my playlist and it's so like they would ask, what's wrong with this guy? Like there's rap, there's rock, there's that postmodern jukebox, there's there's country, there's everything.
Nice. Nice.
And then Zach and Peps, they're trying to, or they've been trying to get me to like listen to Dance Gavin Dance and stuff like that. I'll listen to it and everything, but I got to know the words to what I'm listening to like really attract to it. Them two, they'll be screaming the words to, and I'm like, how do y'all slow this down to even understand it? Like, but I do like the beats and stuff like that. So
Aw. So with travel, I'm a snackosaurus rex. I love snacks. What are your go-to like road snacks?
oh Lord. Sugar-free Red Bull. Um, and the complete opposite of sugar-free, I enjoy a good Snicker bar. That and then if there's like a QT or a racetrack open after a show, I do the I don't even know what they're called, like the buffalo chicken. It's almost it's like a chicken stick almost, but it's
Like on the roller, right?
yeah, like a roller food, and it's like buffalo
Yeah.
chicken. That's pretty good. Yeah, that or sunflower seeds, I would say. But Snickers bar definitely. I've got to have a Snickers bar. I don't know why, but anytime I'm in a store, I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna just grab one. One won't hurt.
Because you're not yourself when you're hungry.
Right, exactly. But no,
So what is your favorite move to take and what is your favorite move to give?
oh man, you got the good questions.
Thanks.
These are things that you don't really think about. I would say my favorite move to take is a backdrop, just because you don't really see them a lot anymore, and it's the easiest move that anyone can do. And I actually took one on Saturday because I'm a big Flair fan. So I'm like, yo, send me to the buckle. I'll eat it, feed out, give me that backdrop. And the people popped. And then they're like, I was like, all right, well, we're doing our job. But yeah, I just that because it looks like you're going so high and you hit the mat and you can just come up and sell how you want because your selling tells that story. Um, and then the second move I will say that I like taking is the flare bump of, flip over the turnbuckle, go to the other buckle, go up, and they bill you off, and then you pretty much back bump. I love those two just because they're old school and people enjoy it. And then this is very controversial here that I like to take. And a lot of people don't understand why, but I don't mind getting chopped. And it's the psychological reason behind it is because everybody talks about how pro wrestling is fake and, everything that we do isn't real. But when you're a good heel and the fans want to see you get beat up, the first move that comes to my mind that fans know is real is a hand to the chest. Why? They can see the whelp of the handprint. So I'm like, yeah, it hurts, but I'm like, at the same time, I'm making these people believe and I'm making these people invest in this match now because they're actually seeing me get beat up type deal. So that's my three. I know you only asked for one, but I gave you three.
No, that's fine.
And then my favorite move to give would probably be my what I call the twisted T. It's my corkscrew neck breaker or moonlight drive, like John Morrison used to do. But yeah, just that one because it's a lot less than what it looks like, but it looks pretty cool. So that and the disaster kick, I'll say. There's my two.
So, part B, I guess, is you said you like to take chops. Top three worst people to get a chop from. Hurts the most, like sends it like all the way through you. Like the three people you never want to get chopped by again.
Well, see, that's rough because every time I wrestle these guys, I'm like, all right, yeah, I know it's coming. So it is what it is. William Huckabee, Aaron Black, and Austin Towers. Austin killed me one time I mean, my soul left my body to the point of I lost my breath whenever he did it. Cause we had it, and it was all because of the feud that we were having too. So it made sense. Him and Aaron were a tag team. So, but yeah, those three men, they know how to chop. But there's also a gentleman, his name's Jeter here in Georgia. I've never wrestled him, but if I ever do, I will. Please don't chop. I will wear 4 polos that day. I will wear 4 polos.
The 4 polo chop.
I will make him work for that one.
So, do you have any like pre-match rituals?
You know, when I do it, I just I like to focus on the match at hand. I try not to think a lot because the more you overthink, that's whenever everything goes south. In my opinion. But I think definitely for me, there's nothing special other than just texting my girlfriend, "Hey, I'm about to go on." Like that's my pre-match ritual. Make sure I got my spots down. Text her. All right, let's go. Because the moment I think too much, it's over. It's over. You'll see it in the ring, and that's what I hate.
Just gotta let it happen and go with the flow.
Right, right.
So, every wrestler either has one or both of these stories. First one, you have like a really good travel story where something really funny happened or really exciting happened or you almost died. Or B, getting there is fine. You get to the show, you're maybe working in a new company, you get there and you go, what the fuck is this? So you can go ahead and censor names if you need to, but if you have one or both of those stories to share with me tonight.
So this story is a mix of both.
Yes.
um
2 birds, 1 stone.
they are gonna kill me for telling this because we were supposed to do some podcasts, but they never happened, and it's been forever since it happened. So you know what? We're spilling the tea here. So
The Stack exclusive.
right, Exotic Youth did Dallas for WrestleMania weekend. Zach Mosley is one who is never on time. Okay. And so we had planned before the trip, hey, we're gonna do a vlog. We're gonna vlog because this is our first time like really traveling on an airplane to go wrestle. This is a big deal for us. We're gonna vlog. So Peps, he stays the night at my house, and Zach, he had a late shift at work, so he was like, "I'm just gonna meet y'all." Okay, cool. Well, me and Peps get checked into TSA, and I had a title on me at that time, so I got pulled to the side, and they went through my whole bag and everything, did the whole spiel on me, and we haven't heard from Zach, and we're like, all right, bro, like our flight's in like an hour. And Atlanta TSA, if you've ever been, is the worst. The whole airport is the worst.
Oh, it just sucks.
For it to be the busiest airport, they need to get their shit together. Like, I don't know what they do on the weekends or weekdays, but they need to train. So it comes time. They call us. We board. Still no Zach. The door shuts, and all I hear is Zach Mosley. Zach Mosley. I'm like, so I got my little phone up because I'm vlogging. I'm like, okay, Zach's coming around the corner. I know it. And then the plane starts backing up. So me and Peps like look at each other like, well, here's this. And so we were supposed to go meet some people and help set up GCW. And at the time, Peps and I were younger. I just turned 25 in October. So neither one of us could get the rental car. So the rental car is under Zach's name. We paid Zach for this rental car. We're like, are you kidding me? Zach's not even coming on the trip now. Like, so we land in Dallas and we're like baffled that this is even happening. Like we knew and joked about that this was happening, and then it happened. And so we get there. We're like, well, I guess we got an Uber. We got an Uber to GCW. So we get there, and then the people that we were meeting and staying with, they're like, because we were with School of Morton, they invited us, and we all stayed at an Airbnb with them. And they go, where's Zach? And I said, you better text him and ask him. So Zach luckily was able to get another flight, but didn't get there until about an hour before the show that we were supposed to do that night. So we had helped set up GCW and then had to go to somewhere like on the outskirts of Fort Worth and do a show.
Did you do like the stuff at in Arlington? There was like a bunch of VFW shows.
It may have been that. It was DFW, DFW All Pro, where like Braun Strowman and EC3 and all of those guys with Control Your Narrative showed up, and Gallows and Anderson were on there. So it was a pretty stacked card, really fun audience and everything. But the whole time, I mean, we were just screwing with Zach, texting him, like, I mean, pranking him the whole time to where he was like freaking out. Like we were telling him, yo, like Ricky's not gonna let you stay at the Airbnb because like you were supposed to be here at this time. Like it was like all going south for him. But yeah, so finally Zach lands and everything. So we're like, okay, cool. Like the band's back together. Had a great show. And then a couple days later, let me tell you this first. Zach and Peps were trained by Robert Gibson. So they, you know, Ricky Morton and Robert, they know us like we're their boys. So we walk into WrestleCon and they're at the hotel bar. And so they're like, hey boys, come on over, have some drinks. So we're like, all right, cool. So we sit down and Tommy Wildfire Rich is there and a few other people, and they introduce us to like their sponsors almost, and they're like, yeah, they're paying for the table, so get what you want. And Impact was having a show that night at WrestleCon, so we had drank with them or whatever, and then we went to the show. Well, one of the hotel staff taps Zach and is like, hey, I need you for a minute, can you walk with me to the bar? And he's like, sure. So me and Pep sit down and we're just enjoying the show or whatever. Well, little did we know, Zach is getting interrogated because the guys who were supposed to pay the tab disappeared, no card on file, and the tab was like $3,500. Right. And so, yeah, like luckily the tab ended up getting paid, but it was like they ended up getting me and Peps, and yeah, we were scared. We thought we were fixing to go to jail. So that was our WrestleMania story.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So can't wait for LA. Part 2.
Are you going to Mania in
Yeah.
LA?
Yeah, we plan on it. We're about to start reaching out to a lot of the promotions and stuff like that because we're newer to the WrestleMania weekend thing, so we don't really know when they start booking shows or anything. So if you got any leads, let us know.
Get them bookings and signings.
Right.
I'll be there. So I
Awesome.
sincerely hope I was in Dallas too. I sincerely hope we run into each other.
Yes, yes. We'll have to make it a point to.
Yes, I have been very fortunate that I've been able to meet a lot of the people that I've been able to interview. It
Oh,
makes me
that's
very
awesome.
happy to do so.
Yeah, no, that's
Um,
awesome.
so I I hope that someday we run into each other. That would really
Right.
make me very happy.
Oh yeah.
Um, do you have any hidden talents?
Hidden talents. I mean, it's not really hidden. But I used to sing in like a youth band before I was a wrestler. So there's that. You can catch us karaoke at any drunken night after a show if we ever have them anymore. But after COVID, it kind of quit. But yeah, I love to karaoke. I guess you could say that. It's my hidden talent.
Nice, nice. What's your go-to karaoke jam?
Oh Lord, this is the one that's probably going to be like this kind of goes back to the question you asked earlier. Um, so Kenny Chesney's She Thinks My Tractor's Sexy.
Ah,
That is my go-to.
I can totally see that for you.
Yeah. And if you're ever wondering, Zach Mosley's is Lips of an Angel. But I'll do a cheap plug here. If you want to hear me sing, there's a match with me and Shalance Royal at GIPW in Macon, Georgia. There's a match on YouTube where I actually do some karaoke in the middle of the match because her whole gimmick is she's an opera singer and everything like that. So I was just she's not the only one that can sing in this business. I'm gonna show her up. So if you ever want to hear me sing, that's that's the show to watch.
So my second so this is you said that you were in a youth band. Is there anything like recorded on YouTube or Spotify or anything that we can listen to?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh, that means there is, and you don't want to tell me.
You'll never find it.
I will my mission now is to get that out of you so that I can listen to it.
Mm. Yeah, that's a rough one. That's like, let's see, I was probably like 13, 14 when I did that. So yeah, it was Christian music.
Of course it was.
So it was like very flip flop from, the things I do now. So
Hmm. You can just go ahead and message me on Twitter and you can
okay.
tell me what it is.
If I can find the link to the video, I definitely will. I don't even know whose thing it's under. I think it's honestly like a Facebook video. I don't even know if it's on YouTube, so I'll have to try to find it.
That would be super dope. That would be wonderful. I would enjoy that greatly.
Right. You just can't share it. That's the only thing.
I would never. If you tell me not to share something, fun fact, I will absolutely keep it to myself. Why? Because I like to know all the good stuff, and people are only
Right.
going to tell you the good stuff if you keep your mouth shut.
No, that's very true. That's a good way to look at things like that.
I like to know things. I don't care if anybody else knows things. Looking out for number one.
Right.
If you could go back in time, what would you tell a 10-year-old version of yourself?
I'll ask this. Am I just going back to kind of, you know, talk to my 10-year-old self, or am I able to rearrange some of the things that
I
happened?
mean, just impart some wisdom upon your 10-year-old self. That's like, hey, watch out for that tree or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, by all
Um,
means.
you know, I would definitely tell myself start wrestling sooner. Um, but no, I would just tell myself honestly, just like, even though it's very vague, just keep your head up. Um, don't don't let the small things bother you, and just be prepared. And that's what I would say. Just be prepared.
So, if there was a Bryce Cannon scented candle, what would it smell like?
Ooh. Hmm. Wow, these questions, these are good. These make you think.
Thanks.
These aren't your typical wrestling podcast questions, and I like that.
Thank you. I try not to make them the typical wrestling podcast questions because
I
everyone
would,
always complains about it on Twitter.
I would definitely say a black cherry hard seltzer. It would
Nice.
be a nice like scent of a candle. I don't know what
It
it would
would
smell like, but
it
or
would
how they
embody
would get
you.
that. Right. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that, because it's a good time, it would hit you slowly, but you would definitely get that black cherry after a while.
Nice. Yeah, I'm for that. So, what is the biggest animal that you could take in a fight with just your hands, no weapons? And you can pretend it's attacking you if that makes you feel better about
I can barely handle my Frenchie right now.
it.
The biggest animal. I would probably say just like a monkey, I guess. They're kind of the same size as us, so I feel like I would be able to at least take a monkey down.
Mm, you're
They're creepy.
optimistic, I think.
They're
But
creepy, but yeah. Well,
is
sometimes,
there is what I was gonna say? Really, it depends on what kind of monkey.
I was thinking like that old like PBS show like Zaboomafoo, but he's a lemur. So maybe like one of those, like a lemur.
A lemur? Okay.
Yeah. Is that a
Yeah.
monkey? Or
No,
are they their own thing?
they're their own thing.
Oh,
Um,
that just shows you how much I know and paid attention.
so we have a zoo here.
Ooh,
And it's a good zoo. And they have lemurs and so
nice. Yeah, no,
but
I always like that show. So probably one of those things.
you could make like monkeys, they have like crazy strength. Like back in the day, like there was one where like a lady had one as a pet and it like ripped her face off.
Yeah, I
Like
wasn't thinking like an ape or anything like that. Like just like 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 the kind of the ones that you see on TikTok, like the handheld ones, like they can wear like little diapers,
a handheld monkey.
like a handheld monkey. You got your teacup chihuahuas and then your handheld monkeys. See, now this is what you're gonna have to clip. This is what you're gonna have to clip and put on Twitter.
Like it's a Game Boy.
Like, hey, I've got my monkey right here, like handheld monkey. Like, I'll be here all day.
Got your apes, got your handheld monkeys.
And your lemurs. That was a good one then. If this was Family Feud, you would definitely be the good answer. Good answer.
Handheld monkey. Whew. So every now and again, somebody I told you earlier, I generally find everything really funny.
Right.
And like I am very prone to fits of laughter. This happens with some frequency. It makes me feel good that I pick good people to interview
Right. Yeah.
that are funny, that make me laugh and just
we,
break
we,
me.
we all need a good laugh every day, I feel.
Absolutely. So, how do you take your pancakes? What do you like in them and on them?
Let's see, this is where I gotta turn completely heel on you. I'm a
Don't you do
waffle
it.
person.
Don't you? Oh, the pain. Interview over.
Yeah. No, I mean, if I had to, I guess.
Yes, you have to.
Chocolate chip,
Okay.
sugar-free syrup.
Okay. So
It's really
about
waffles, but
about waffles. Waffles are a little classist, don't you think?
no, not at all. Have you ever been to a Waffle House? That's full of
Unfortunately.
class.
But th- do you make waffles at home? Does and like you have to have a whole specific machine dedicated solely to waffles.
Correct. They sell them at Walmart for like $10 now, and they're mini.
But like pancakes you can make with just a hot flat surface.
The okay, you know what?
You
I
have
I
to
take I
have
take my chocolate chip statement back. How I like pancakes is like the little pancake sausage sticks. That is how I like my pancakes. That is the only time I eat pancakes, really. So, yeah, that's
so
my
you like it as like a corn dog
yeah.
with
Have you?
like sausage. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, they're delicious.
yeah. That's how I like
You you used to get like when I back in the olden days when I went to school, like that was
'em.
always the
Right?
best
Yeah,
breakfast.
yeah. Like the first time that I ever had one was actually at my granddad's house. Like they just had them in their freezer, and they were like, "Here's your breakfast," and I was like, "What is it? Corn dogs for breakfast? Nice." I'm like, "Why is it sweet?" But yeah, so that's how I like my pancakes.
Acceptable answer.
That is the answer. That is the only answer, other than I guess chocolate chip ones that I gave you earlier. But
Use the W word though. Not a fan.
see, that wasn't in the disclaimer you said earlier, though. So
I mean, that's true. I didn't specifically. I like to watch. I guess it's like I like to have you dig your own hole when it comes to that sort of thing.
and that's why you asked that question. Because you're like, okay, this thing's going really good. All right, now we're going to see if we're going to go that extra 20 minutes or not.
Take it home, brother. No.
Right. Right.
So allow me to take you on a little journey, like in your mind.
Okay.
So imagine you, if you will, that you are at the grocery store, supermarket, whatever you call it, and you're hungry and you want something to eat, and you decide, I know you said that you're not really a sweets guy, but in this instance, you decided you wanted something sweet. So you're like boop booping down the aisles, and you go down the cookie aisle, and you're like, cookies, hell yeah, who doesn't love cookies? But you don't want like Chips Ahoy, you don't want like the Milano cookies. No, no, no. You want America's favorite cookie, which is the Oreo. So you go to the section with all the Oreos, and there's all the different flavors, but you don't want any different flavors. You want a chocolate cookie with a white cream center, but you still have options. So
Thins
you're picking thins?
all day. I was so happy when they came out with thins. I knew where you were going with this. My girlfriend, she likes the double stuff.
So that's the right answer.
That's the
Yeah,
incorrect answer.
that is the only
Thins.
correct answer.
Thins.
Wow, you really had like a strong first like 3 quarters. Really healing it up here in the last quarter.
Look, I told you, I said this is where I turned full heel on you, but this is me. Like thin Oreos are 10 times better than double stuffed or regular. You can put that on my tombstone when I pass. Like,
You can feel free to be wrong about that.
I think my connections. No, I'm kidding.
Done with this shit. No, we're almost done. Anyway, that's why I saved the questions for last.
But
That
no,
way we
definitely
don't have too much
thins.
further to deal with. Oh, terrible of you.
Definitely thins.
Wow, I was really excited. I was like, oh, this guy's really fun. Like I was really excited until the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's usually how things go with me. It's always the last 5 minutes.
I have to check with your opponents on that.
Like, where are we at, kid?
So now that you've just botched those 2 questions,
Third time's a charm.
so this question comes from Vic. He is our VIP when we did lives. He would always ask this question. Since we don't do live interviews anymore, I asked this question on his behalf.
Awesome.
So, who do you think has the best gear of all time?
Oh my goodness. I would say me. Um, hmm. I'm gonna go John Morrison, the shaman of sexy. That's my answer. Like his pants are unmatched.
He does
Like
have.
I'm a big, I guess I should, disclaimer, I'm a big like rhinestone fan. So yeah, his the like, I don't know, if your gear sparkles, you got me. Like either him or Robert Roode. Whenever Robert Roode used to do like the really sparkly trunks and knee pads, those would be my two.
Nice.
That's
Those aren't.
WWE. In AEW now, Ricky Starks.
Hmm.
See, I got options other
Well,
than Oreos. That there's no other option with that. But Ricky Starks, John Morrison, or Bobby Roode.
those are decent choices. Those are decent choices. So, do you have any upcoming shows that you can tell us about?
Ooh, do I? Are we closing out, 2022, or are we opening the door to 2023? Because
Whatever you want to tell me about.
look, Exotic Youth, we haven't announced them yet, but have taken
Ooh.
quite a few bookings in 2023. But when will this air? That way I don't
So
talk in the past or something.
we are recording this on December 6th. It will air next week, Wednesday. So a week from
Okay.
tomorrow.
Okay. So, well, since they know it's not live, this Friday, December 9th, I've got Southern Honor Wrestling, as I'll take on Cyrus the Destroyer. And then let's see, got to look at the calendar. The next weekend, um, let's see, December 18th, that's going to be a busy day for me. I'll have District Championship Wrestling in Atlanta on 1 p.m. And then I have to go down to Warner Robins, Georgia for GIPW, which is about a 2-hour drive. So that'll be a busy day. And that's going to close out my December. Very short month for me with wrestling, which I tend to take these November and December very lightly. Whenever it comes to wrestling, just because I do like spending time with family and stuff like that.
Wow. Priorities.
I know. Well, if not, I get the slap on the hand. But no, family first. I will say that, because without their support, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So, but then, I mean, January, I mean, we're pretty booked up. Trying to see if there's any shows that you know have allowed us to talk about them, but no, all of my January is filled up right now, so I'm very blessed with that. Friday, Saturday, and Sundays. So,
I am.
so yeah, so that'll be a lot of fun. So hopefully you'll get to catch me in a show near you, because there are a few shows. I think we got North Carolina in there, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama. Um, so yeah, quite a few states in there. And where are you from?
I live in Nebraska.
Oh God. Okay. Maybe not. Maybe you want to travel. I don't know. Let's come to Georgia.
I do a lot of traveling.
Catch us on IWTV with the Southern Honor gig and everything like that. But yeah, no. We're trying to branch out. I really want to get into Jersey, so that's going to be my goal for 2023. So I know a few like Wrestling Open, which Thursdays are hard for me, especially with the shoot job. But at some point, I'm just gonna have to kick that to the curb and realize, let's go full circle with this. So
Fantastic. Well, where can people find you on social media? Twitter, Instagram, Facebook fan page, YouTube, Twitch. If you have Patreon, OnlyFans, TikTok, merch store, whatever you have, plug it all.
yeah, no OnlyFans. I don't, like I said, I can barely do Twitter. So, but yeah, no, I'm on Twitter, real Bryce Cannon. That's also my Instagram. I think there may be an underscore after it. But then Facebook, just look up Bryce Cannon. There's a fan page and a personal page that you can friend me at, or follow me on the fan page. I've got a YouTube channel. I'm slowly working on that. Like I said, I'm not the best with this technology stuff, so getting that. I really liked putting out the YouTube shorts. Those have done really well for me here recently. So getting in the groove of doing that. But then Pro Wrestling Tees, you can look us up under Exotic Youth, and it'll be all three members, Zach Mosley, Pepper Bottom, and myself. We have one team shirt on there and then individual shirts. So right now, that is all the spots you can. I do have a Twitch account. Couldn't tell you the username or anything like that. I did it for an interview, so we'll have to figure out how to do that one as well. But there is an app. It's called IWN app. And what they are is they are a Georgia-based promotion, and so they're reaching out, getting other independents on. But you can watch wrestling, you can watch interviews, you know, a lot of cool stuff going on there. So you can catch a lot of our work on there. We work a lot with them out of Main Event Wrestling here in Georgia. So that's kind of a lot of where you can see our stuff and then do merch and social medias.
Awesome. Well, even though you dropped off a little bit in the last quarter there, it was really fun talking with you. I really hope for the best. I hope that I am able to see you in LA. So
Right. Yeah.
it'd be
Yeah,
dope.
no. If you're watching this and have any connections to any promotions in LA, hit your boy up.
Well, once again, thank you so much, Bryce, for hanging out with me. Make sure to follow Bryce Cannon everywhere Bryce Cannon is. This has been The Stack. I'm Val Pancakes. Big thank you to Wrestling Over Everything and Table Bump for sponsoring the Bald Monkeys and The Stack. And thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Bryce, for hanging out.
Of course. Anytime. I'll bring the thin Oreos.
All yours.